Good evening, welcome to school board meeting October 9th. Mr. Romano, will you take roll?
Well, Mr. Chumley,
Present.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Present.
Mr. Rudy,
Present.
Mr. Patton.
Present.
4 present.
We have a reason to go into executive session. Recommended to withdraw for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, to consider the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or student, to prepare for negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment, to consider matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes, and to consider confidential information related to the marketing plan, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant or economic development assistance, or to negotiate with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance. Do we have any questions? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Who was second?
Rudy?
Mr. Rudy. Call roll. Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mr. Patton.
Yes.
4 yes.
All right, we will adjourn to executive session when we return around 8 o'clock.
Yep.
Good question.
If we did them off.
Good evening and welcome back to our October 9th board meeting. Mr. Romano, could you call us back from executive session?
Yes. Mr. Chumley?
Present.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Present.
Mr. Rudy?
Present.
Mr. Patton?
Present.
4 present.
All right, could everyone rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get into the business this evening, the board had asked that we take a moment to remember Michelle Delaney, our board president. And so fortunately, we have some talent on our staff. So Jeffrey has pulled together just some memories of Michelle over the years as serving on the board. That will, it's a 2-minute little video that will take us through some great memories. And, you know, Michelle was one to really tell you how she was feeling by the expressions on her face. And so we got a lot of great expressions in this video. So just one more moment to celebrate the leader, the legend, Michelle Delaney. Thank you, Jeffrey.
All right, at this time, we will look at the nominations for her replacement. I would like to ask for a nomination from the members we interviewed earlier. Do we have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate David Schaff.
Any other nominations?
We need a second.
All right, a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we will close the nominations if there's no other nominations. And Mr. Romano, could you?
So this would be a roll call to close the nominations.
Yes.
Okay. It'd be Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Abstain.
Mr. Chumley.
Yes.
3 yes, 1 abstention. Okay.
We had a lot of great.
Wait,
This
one
should-
second.
This would be a roll call. This is for the appointment, there's a resolution
Yeah.
for the appointment. And so the resolution would be to appoint David Schaff to fill the unexpired term of the Board of Education. Okay, the resolution that as presented. So you'd need a motion and a second for that.
I will put that on the floor in the form of a motion and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Rudy. Any questions? We had a lot of great applicants, people that I would love to see involved going forward. At this time, there's a lot of change and potential instability, and we need, that's what we need. We need stability. We need someone who has been here recently and just can smoothly come in and move us forward. Those are my comments.
Call the roll.
Yep.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Abstain.
Mr. Patton.
Yes.
3 yes, 1 abstention.
All right.
To the, if we could do the oath of office for the new board member?
Mr. Schaff, if you want to step forward to Mr. Romano. And read or repeat after me.
It doesn't matter. I'll repeat. How's that?
Okay, raise your right hand.
I, David Schaff,
Swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will perform faithfully
and that I will perform faithfully
the duties of a board member of the Board of Education
the duties of a board member of the Board of Education
of the West Clermont Local School District,
of the West Clermont Local School District,
Clermont County, Ohio,
Clermont County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
and in accordance with the laws now in effect,
in accordance with the laws now in effect,
and hereinafter to be enacted
and hereinafter to be enacted
during my continuance in said office,
during my continuance in said office,
and until my successor is elected
and until my successor is elected
and qualified, so help me God.
and qualified, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Off this pop. I understand. I don't want to give you anything.
I understand. Thank you.
So, and Mr. Chumley, with the past president leaving that seat, unfortunately, you automatically, according to policy, become the president. We would ask that you take that oath of office as president. You did take it as vice president, but if we could do it as president too. Raise your right hand. I, state your name,
I, Michael Chumley,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
perform the duties of the President
perform the duties of the President
of the Board of Education of West Clermont Local School District,
of the Board of Education of West Clermont Local School District,
Clermont County, Ohio,
Clermont County, Ohio,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And then, Mr. President, the board should nominate and elect a vice president.
All right, I would like to ask for a nomination for Vice President.
I'd like to nominate Tammy Brinkman for
Okay.
vice president.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Closed, no,
Do we
any
close-
other?
Do we have any questions?
No.
All right, we'll close nominations. Mr. Romano?
Okay, and so I'll call the roll for the election of vice president. and this would be for Mrs. Brinkman. So, Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman.
Abstain.
3 yes, 1 abstention. Congratulations.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm going off my
I
list.
was thinking the same thing.
Thanks for
Mr.
joining
Schaaf.
us.
Yeah.
4 yes, 1 abstention. I apologize.
You're fine.
Forgot what I just did. All right. And Mrs. Brinkman, if you could take the oath of office. Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Tammy Brickman,
Swear that I will support the Constitution
swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully, to the best of my ability,
and that I will faithfully, to the best of my ability,
perform the duties of the Vice President
perform the duties of the Vice President,
of the Board of Education of the West Clermont Local School District,
perform the duties of the Vice President of the Board of Education of the West Clermont Local School District,
Clermont County, Ohio,
Clermont County, Ohio,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations there, and I apologize, Mr. Chef, I may do that again this evening, but if I do,
I will chime in.
remind me. All right. Thank you.
It's for
Oh, the
office
committee
for the
members.
committee members.
So item 5.06 is the appointment of committee members due to vacancies. And Mr. Chumley, with the current board, vacancies are, the current board committees are listed there, and then the vacancies are listed. And so where there was some vacancy, there was always 2 people on the board. You can have the 1 person remaining moved to chair, and then as policy, you can appoint the board member to those committees if you want. So you can either appoint can appoint any one of the current board members or the newly elected board member.
They're all listed
They're all listed here?
on the recommendation.
Okay.
Where they at right here?
Right. You just got to fill in the name. So you need to appoint Mr. Schaaf. So on the current ones for under the recommendations, so for the Culture Personnel Committee,
Okay.
Mrs. Brinkman would move the chair, and you need to appoint someone to the vice chair.
Okay. I would recommend to appoint Mr. Schaaf to the Culture and Personnel Vice Chair.
And the same with the education and the family and community engagement.
Yes.
So you're appointing Dave in each of the 3 spots?
I'm appointing Dave as Vice Chair in Culture and Personal, in Education, and in Family and Community Engagement. Yes.
That's fine.
We also need to include, because Mrs. Brinkman moved up from vice chair to chair, and so she would also need to be appointed.
Okay, so then I would recommend to appoint Tammy for Chair of Cultural and Personal,
And family and community engagement.
and Family and Community Engagement, yes.
Yep.
She was already chair according to this.
This is the
Yeah, this was an
updated.
updated version.
Let's see which one. She needed to be moved to chair in culture and personnel, family and community engagement. She already was. That's what you're saying, Dave, right? Yeah, got it.
Okay.
All
So-
right, do I need a second?
Those are appointments, so you don't have to do a vote on that. So, okay. Now we can go to item 6.
All right. Item 6, to motion to adopt agenda. I would ask for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
And a second. Great. Any questions? All right, Mr. Ramon?
Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Schaaf,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley.
Yes.
5 yes,
Item 7, public commentary. Do we have anything?
Do we have any speakers?
No.
We do not have any.
No.
Thank you.
All right. Item 8, consent agenda.
8.01.
It's in lieu of transportation.
Yes, transportation.
Good evening. The in lieu of transportation recommendation is before you, and that's obviously to pay parents to transport their kids and not use the Peterman bus. Any questions about that? Thank you.
I did have a question regarding it, though.
Yes, ma'am.
So the request is for the 2023-2024 school year. Are we paying them in advance for the school year, or is this a monthly?
They receive, Dan helped me out, I think there
Yep.
were 2 payments.
So for 22, 23, there was some catch-up to be done, and then that was for last year. Then there are some for 23, 24, and they are paid, it's basically an agreement or a contract with the parents to transport them, and that would be for the school year.
So we pay them in advance?
We pay them in advance. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. 8:02, approval of minutes.
Okay, item 8.02 is approval for the minutes for August 28th. Item 8.03 is approval for the minutes for September 11th. Item 8.04 is request for approval of the minutes for September 21st, that was a special meeting. Item 8.05 is approval for the minutes of October 9th, again, that was a special meeting. I'm sorry.
September 23rd.
September 23, okay, today's the 9th. Item 8.06 is a list of donations. There are 20 donations as presented. I could leave those, or if you want me to have those read into the records, I could do that too, but we do appreciate the fact that there are several organizations and individuals throughout this community that continually give either dollar amounts or contribute gifts and donations to this district, which immensely helps us out. Item 8.07 is a list of contracts, and if I can explain the one that was presented, just in accordance with practice, we traditionally do not contract with any organization outside of the United States. There is a software that the district has been using that is located outside of the country, and so it's a request to approve that agreement. Also, later on in the section with the financial reports, there is, and we have been doing this for about a year now, a list of all the contracts by purchase order that the district does come to an agreement with. But this one specifically is because it is an organization that is outside the U.S. Item 8.08 is approval of purpose and budget statements for the 23-24 school year. Again, that is for the clubs and organizations and activities primarily at the high school and the middle school. Item 8.09 is the financial statements, bills paid, lists, and the investments for the district and other reports as submitted. That is for the month of August. And so the consent agenda consists of items 8.01 through 8.09 as recommended.
You've heard the recommendation. I would like to put that on the floor in the form of a motion and ask for a second.
Second.
Any questions?
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Schaff.
Yes.
5 yes.
Item 9, superintendent.
Mr. LaFada is going to come forward. He has 2 items. One is about the purchase and installation of modular classrooms, and the other is related to the Ohio Facilities Commission.
9.01 is a proposal for modular unit. By passing that, that will allow us to search for the best price, perhaps do an RFQ for bidding for modulars. It's unknown now, right now where they will be needed, but this will allow us to then pursue pricing and location of those modulars. The next one, 9 point,
Well, we have to vote on that
oh,
separately.
I'm sorry.
And, yeah, and this is just to kind of plan ahead. We're not necessarily going forward, so you voting yes right now is not about deciding we're getting modulars in any particular location. That would come at a later time. This is just to get the bids and get everything in order, and so we know all the financing. We can continue to look at enrollment and plan ahead.
You've heard the recommendation. May I ask for a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any questions?
I have a statement.
All right.
Having served on this board for 12 years, I continually hope to challenge the district to find an alternative to the modulars. I'm not a fan. I think that we need to do everything we can to look for alternatives to that, but no, at the end of the day, we may have no other option. I continue to challenge you with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
This just covers us.
No, I understand.
In case
No, I
there are
get
no
it.
other options.
No, I get it.
Yeah, and we need to bring all those options back too, because we are looking into a lot of different things when
Yeah.
it comes to our aging buildings and the enrollment increasing, the needs of special ed students. And so it's going to be a lot to take in over the next several months, for sure.
So just to clarify a couple things, Natasha, we're just saying that you're gonna look and get some options, because we won't even know what elementaries we're gonna look
Right,
at this.
no, we're not voting on any specifics, we're just the ability to go out for bids.
Okay.
Correct.
Did you call roll yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Mono?
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mr. Schaff?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
5 yes. 9.02.
On 9.02, this will be part of the options you mentioned. This 9.02 will allow us to enter into an agreement with UFCC to once again have them do facilities and district study of enrollment facilities, best options for us to move forward as a district. We're segmented, you have been a segmented district for years in UFCC's eyes. So what that means is that we can plan ahead for smaller projects if the district chooses to. So by approving this resolution, the next step, I'll meet with, Randy and I'll meet with representatives from the OFCC, and they will begin a study and then present to us, hopefully in midwinter or early spring, which I'll share with the board. And it would be a study and recommendations from their viewpoint on how we should move forward. Doesn't mean we have to, but it's from just the OFCC and all the requirements that they bring to schools, all the things they put on the table. We can look at it, digest it, accept part of it, accept all of it, accept none of it, whatever we want to do. But by passing this resolution, it allows us to enter an agreement with them. It's called the ELAP program, and it's the next step it's the next step we have to take in our progression with the OFCC.
And correct me if I'm misspeaking here, but about a year ago, you brought a resolution to them to get us back in line with
We
the
did.
OFCC. So this is really that progression. It's not committing to anything, it's not committing to resources, it's just continuing to analyze and see where we move up in our place.
The first step was a year, so you have to wait a year, now we're at the next step, enter the CLAP program. Dan has an application which he'll complete now after tonight, and we'll be ready to rock and roll with the OFCC and what they bring to the table.
Thank you.
Any questions, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
So the recommendation to
motion.
approve the resolution of intent to participate in the Ohio Facilities Commission, or Construction Commission Expedited Local Partnership Program.
You've heard the recommendation. I'll put that on the floor in the form of a motion and ask for a second.
I'll second it.
Any questions? All right, Mr. Romano?
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Schaff?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
5 yes.
Mrs. Preston's going to come up and give an update on our state report card academic and performance results. We were going to do this last month, but with the changes, we needed to put this off. And so we did get these results in mid-September and have been celebrating the progress. And so this is just Mrs. Preston's ability now to go in and let you look under the hood a little bit more and see where we are continuing to make performance gains and where we have some issues and need to continue to work.
Good evening. Thank you for the introduction. So you've been getting information since the report cards were released a little bit, not necessarily each week, but this is really meant to provide still a high-level overview of a report card, but clearly an opportunity if you have any questions that you'd like to know more about, I'll be happy to answer that. So the state has been phasing in changes to their report card over the last few years. If you remember in the past, there used to be letter grades. They've transitioned away from letter grades to now using a star rating. Over the last few years, various parts of the report card were given star ratings, and this year we have an overall star rating as well as individual star ratings for various components of the report card. And there still is a section of the report card that is not yet given a star, but it's just reported for reporting purposes only. So overall, we earned 4 stars out of 5, and we believe that this really illustrates the significant growth and progress that our staff and students have continued to make over the years. And while we're fully not where we'd like to be, we're very proud that this reflects the efforts that have been put forth across the district. So I'll just kind of take a little dive into what each of these components are and, like I said, answer any questions that you might have. So this first component is achievement, and that looks at the performance of students across all tested subject areas and grade levels. So students start taking the Ohio State test in 3rd grade, and they continue with those assessments through high school. Most students have completed their state required assessments by the end of their sophomore year, sometimes junior year if necessary. And the way that this component score is calculated, they look at the performance of students across each of our performance levels. So if a student doesn't take a test, obviously, like, you don't get any points because the multiplier for not tested is 0. And the more advanced that a student performs, the more points that you get. And that overall score is called a performance index score. So our goal is not just proficiency, but our goal is to support students in continuing beyond proficiency. And so you can see that you earn additional points, a multiplier of 1.1 or 1.2 for students who perform beyond that proficient level. And so our performance here is higher than it was last year. We've scored significantly higher, and we've made some of the most progress in increasing our students' scoring at the advanced and accomplished levels, as well as decreasing the percentage of students who were below proficient. So clearly, we still have more progress yet to go, but we've seen significant growth in this area over the last few years. And you can see that in many ways with our progress score. So last year, just for comparison purposes, we earned 2 stars in this area, and this was an area that we really we wanted to see more significant growth. And what progress looks at is not just meeting that proficiency level, not just meeting that that achievement level, but looking at the individual student growth compared to where their prediction was. And so what you see here represented in that 4 stars is that there's significant amounts of evidence that we have exceeded, that our students have exceeded their growth expectations. And so the way to close gaps is by continuing to exponentially grow. If you're just meeting those yearly growth expectations, we'll never be able to close those gaps that exist. And so our progress score here really shows that we're working to accelerate student growth. Another way that that is also measured is by looking specifically at gap closing. And so various subgroups of students, from all students to specific demographic groups, maybe students with disabilities, African American students, students who represent other English learners, etc. The way that gap closing is measured is looking at the the goal for those particular subgroups compared to how all students performed. And so you can see here for both English language arts and math, that red circle represented the growth goal for those, or the achievement goal, I'm sorry, for those various subgroups, and then what their actual performance index score was. And so in almost every example, we exceeded the performance expectation and the goal for those various subgroups.
Wasn't gap closing another one that was lower yesterday or last year?
Yeah,
Like-
it was
like
an area that we
two
wanted
stars,
to
I
continue
think.
to, yes.
I was thinking that was pretty significant.
Graduation rate, this is one of the areas that we're not satisfied with, and we're not satisfied fully with the other areas as well. But in particular, our four-year graduation rate was much lower than what we've come to expect. And so that, in a minute, I'll share some of the strategies that we're working on related to that. But the overall component score comes from a combination of looking at both the four-year graduation rate as well as the five-year graduation rate. There are calculations as part of this that legislatively are being considered for change. And so like one example of that is if students defer their diploma. And so it might be a special education student who by law is allowed to remain in school until age 23. Those students are counted against our five-year graduation rate as an example. So some of the things are unfortunately kind of working against us, but even with that being said, our goal is 95% or better, and so we're really working to combat that. Early literacy is another area where we have seen some pretty significant growth. What this looks at is students who come to us in kindergarten and first grade and second grade and third grade who are, and our ability to take students who are not on track to meet grade level expectations and then taking them from off track to on track. And so it looks at the percentage of students that we've been able to improve that measure in those early grades, as well as those students who were proficient by the end of third grade or those students who were promoted to fourth grade. And so this has been an effort that we've been really emphasizing over the last few years, and we're seeing progress, and we're looking forward to what's to come in this area as well. This is a new measure that is reported for the first time this year. Like I said, this is the one area where there isn't an overall star grade, but it's called the College Career Workforce and Military Readiness Component Score. So it's a mouthful, and all of these measures, I suppose, are included as part of this overall calculation. And so kind of like in summary, they're really looking to, based on these criteria, they're looking to see, of the students who are graduating from your school, how many students met one of these criteria. You don't get credit if students meet multiple things, but how many of your graduating seniors met at least one of these things? So for example, how many of students had a remediation-free score on the ACT or SAT? How many students graduated with an honors diploma? What's the percentage of students who had AP credits where they scored a 3 or better? How many students enlisted in the military? Those sorts of things. And they're looking at the formula for calculating this is basically like the number of students who had one or more of these divided by, the number of total students divided by the number of students who met at least one of these or better. So this is something that on this year's report card will be included as part of an overall star grade. So it was interesting when I was putting together this presentation, and last year, was looking at the items that I shared with you as part of our response, what our continuous improvement efforts are really focusing on. I didn't really change much. And to me, that really is an indication that we believe we're on the right track, that our staff, again, like I would put our staff up against any staff really in the area. They are working so hard and with such high levels of intentionality. They're not doing that in isolation, but they're working collaboratively with their peers, with their building level principals, assistant principals, with instructional coaches. We're really working to align our systems across the district. And all of these things, we're not just like adding a bunch of new things, we're really deepening our commitment to this work that we've really had in place for the last few years. So you'll notice some of the things are like maybe now we have, like last year it may have said that one of our efforts was focused on a student-centered instructional framework. Well, we have like a name for that thing now, but we're still doing that work. Or, instructional rounds, we've been committed to that for the last 3+ years. This year, we have our course of study is in English Language Arts. This is now our third course of study adoption that we've been able to be a part of. And so it really is, I think, just a testament to the work that all of our staff members are involved in, that I just have an opportunity to share a little bit about it. But I have such high levels of, I'm so proud of their efforts, and really glad that it's showing off in ways that we know a report card doesn't really tell the full story. And Jeffrey here in a second is going to talk about our quality profile, which tells a little bit more about our story. So we know it's not everything, but we're really proud that it really does reflect the efforts, and we just know that more great things are to come. And so thank you so much for the support that you've placed in our staff, for your ongoing support and desire to do everything that you can to equip our teachers and our administrators with the resources that they need to do their jobs well. It's working, it's paying off. And on behalf of them, they're very grateful for your investment that you've made in them. So that's what I have. I don't know if you have any questions or would like any additional information.
I have a question and a statement. First,
Okay.
I want to piggyback with your statement about our staff. I think they are doing a great job. The quality of work that they are doing, I truly appreciate, and I know that they're doing an excellent job. On my question, or the graduation rate, and if I missed, I apologize, but what steps are we taking, or,
Yeah.
You mentioned one example as far as what
So
kind of dings us on that.
so a few of the things that we're doing, and it's kind of a multifaceted approach, like looking at both short-term and long-term solutions, because, some things we know are going to take 3 or 4 years to really institutionalize, but we don't want to wait 3 or 4 years for something to fully be in place. And so some of the things in the short term that we're looking at, we're really strengthening our ability to offer students a chance to earn some credentials through some really practical, meaningful life skills kind of programs. And so one of those specifically is called Rise Up. It is connected with like the retail industry, and it provides students an opportunity to really learn customer service skills, things that people, whether it's retail like the food industry or hospitality industry, it's kind of like the basic entry-level skill set that employers are looking for. And so we have quite a few students this year who are potentially at risk for not earning, to not meet graduation requirements, for whom successful completion of this program will not only satisfy a necessary graduation requirement, but in my mind, just as importantly, help them establish some skill sets that they can take with them. It isn't just like a real quick, easy path to like getting a diploma, but it really can give them a leg up and an opportunity to set themselves apart from others that they may be competing for employment with. So that's like an example of a short-term strategy that we're activating right now to support our students who right now need an additional pathway.
So we're meeting kids where they are.
Absolutely.
That's what I love to hear.
Other examples, we're looking at ways that we can continue to reimagine our senior year experience, to give students opportunities to participate in school, kind of in the same way that you're saying, meeting them where they are in ways that work best for them. And so we know not every student works best in a situation where you're going from bell to bell, day to day, and that some students need to meet our core courses, but then they need opportunities to really engage in real life experiences otherwise, and those are the things that really fuel them and get them up. And so that's more of like the emphasis for them, and so we're working to build out programming that meets those students' needs. Longer term, like we know that we have some students right now, even at our middle school, that we see as we look at some of our data around like early warning indicators, students who already may struggle with attending school regularly, who have had challenges with their grades, that we know right now, let's not wait until they're a senior and just be waiting for them to fail. And so we're working to build some alternative programs for them right now. One of the, kind of a working name for one of the programs that we're looking at is called Bridges, where we can really work at the middle school level to have some flexibility in how students can successfully participate in school. If students are having challenges in one class over another, what might be some different ways that we can help them successfully engage in coursework? And so looking maybe at a combination of face-to-face and online courses, students who may be able to participate in modified school days, ways, again, to just meet kids where they are and to really deeply understand what their needs are, what their family needs might be, and to really approach those things more proactively. And so we're really excited about the opportunities that can come from that, because I think sometimes kids, they just lose a sense of hope. And we need to really give kids hope. We need to help them, as part of that program, we need to help them picture some possibilities of what can be true for them, what their future can look like, what potential employment opportunities can look like. And so those are the things that are part of more of our both short-term and long-term solutions that are fueling our staff. We have lots of staff members who are excited to be part of building those programs, and we believe it's what kids deserve and what families also might need for their students.
Ellie, will you go back just one slide for a second, back to that college career?
Yeah.
If you notice, if you look at the bullets, just the first couple bullets are topics that lend themselves to a classroom experience. As you get down the list, the lion's share of that list is beyond the walls of West Clermont High School in many ways, whether that's a virtual way or in a different experience. And so the lion's share of our work really over the last couple of years has been getting that that high school schedule more flexible, getting experiences beyond the walls of school, building the partnerships, because it's like you build it and they will come. And that we're basically we've been setting ourselves up to be able to maximize these. And so it's just a matter of a lot of things syncing up now, that we have some proof of concepts and the flexibility that we really need.
Yeah, and to really be able to produce those things at scale, so that it isn't just working for one student or two students or three students, but a more significant number.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Any other ideas?
Thank you.
Questions? Great. Thank you so
Pop
much.
up it's in the link. Mr. Ryle's gonna come up and talk about the quality profile. You all have an example here. This has been mailed out to our families. It's online as well. It's been sent electronically.
So thank you for the opportunity to showcase some of the work that we do. Our quality profile is kind of like our annual report as a school district. It looks at what occurred in the previous school year. So this, even though it's coming up now, this year's quality profile is about the 22-23 school year. And it gives us a chance to reflect on the challenges and the accomplishments that we have had over the last year. And so there's lots of great pieces of kind of things that we can celebrate, lots of photos to see, our community can see the types of work that our students are doing. As Superintendent Adams said, this will be in mailboxes in the next few weeks, and it's on our website. And again, just another way that we can be accountable to our community and continue to tell our story.
So anything stand out, or any questions you have about any of it?
These keep getting better every time.
Thank you. Yeah, it seems like every year we're running out of space, because there's more and more awards that are being given out,
I feel like it's
and,
gonna be a phone book soon.
yeah, it'll be a fun book, so that's true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all we have tonight, so go into board business.
Item 10, treasurer's business.
Oh,
Hey,
treasurer's business,
okay.
let me just skip over you.
There's two action items that I have this evening. We did meet with the Union Township Administrator, Susan Ayers, and there was a request for action on two tax incremental financing issues. The first one is item 10.01, Ivy Point TIF amendment. That is to amend the resolution. There was an expansion there, but it's also to increase it for an additional 30 years from the current. Just want to make sure, as in the past, those tax incremental financing with Union Township, and specifically this one, does make us whole with it. So we do not lose the revenue. The district does not lose any revenue with this TIF. So the recommendation, so item 10.01 is a recommendation to approve the resolution approving an amendment to Union Township Resolution 06-33 to authorize a tax incremental financing program for the Ivy Point TIF for an additional 30 years, as recommended.
You've heard the recommendation. May I ask for a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Jen and Mary.
Okay?
Any questions?
So this is just an extension of the current TIF,
The current TIF, and it goes an additional 30 years. That's correct.
and we are made whole on
We are made whole
on this one. And we're made whole to the current rate, not to a specific set rate.
Of the past, it's current.
Okay.
Correct. Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Schaff?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
5 yes. Item 10.02, and this is a new agreement. This is for Children's Hospital TIF agreement. I'll read the recommendation to approve the resolution approving the tax increment financing exemption, approving the West Clermont Local School District's Children's Hospital TIF compensation agreement between the West Clermont Local School District and Union Township. Make a note on this. The Children's Hospital is not-for-profit. It is tax exempt. The specific agreement here would be as if in the future, as if, for example, with that property, there's a lease to a for-profit, it does allow us to capture that. So we would be made whole on that. So even though it is tax exempt property because of their status, if in the future they lease that out, it does get captured. Okay? So again, it is a made whole agreement for us. So it is a recommendation to approve item 10.02, the TIF agreement for Children's Hospital.
You've heard the recommendation. I'll put that on the floor in the form of a motion and ask for a second.
Second.
Any questions?
And thank you for clearing that up, because that was going to be my
Yeah,
question, is that Children's Hospital is tax exempt, so why would we need a TIF agreement? But that explains it perfectly.
I was
In case-
confused too until I read the 30 or 40 pages, so yeah, and found it somewhere in there.
What is the duration of that tip?
That's a 30-year too, so that is 3 years. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mr. Schaff?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
5 yes. Just a few comments this evening. The first is, we did receive our notification from, on our state funding. As we talked about in the past 2 board meetings, past two board meetings, there was the possibility that the district would be moving off of the guarantee onto the formula because of the action that our state legislature did and the governor signed off on House Bill 33. And we were unsure until we got those actual calculations, and we did get that. So the realization that we improved in that formula in excess of $1 million, about $1.4 million for this school year, is a good thing. I still have a question mark on what can happen the second year of the biennium because of the property valuations increasing. So as we said in the past, the state funding is, or the funding to school districts is a share between the state and local dollars. As the district becomes wealthier by the state's view of property valuations and income tax, then locally we pay more, the state pays less. So the second year is a question mark in my mind because of that, and then we should know more towards the end of this month, the beginning of November, based on those property values. So it is a positive thing that is occurring. The other two things that the superintendent and I have been keeping very close tabs on is the movement of House Bill 187 and I guess what I would say the sister bill, proposed bill, Senate Bill 153. And again, as we discussed about those in the past, those are bills that look at the property valuation and the methodology of that valuation. The current method looks at 3 years back, but gives weight more of the previous year. In both House Bill 187 and Senate Bill 153, it looks at a 3-year average, which is a change, and there's no weight on any 1 year, so it is a straight 3-year average. That does impact the district, okay, revenue-wise, and so we're just following that. The House could act on Senate Bill 187 yet this week to do that, so we're following that. And we're trying to have some conversations.
Well, there's hearings with the Senate.
Yeah, the
bill.
hearing
Yeah.
is on the Senate bill this week as well. So just wanted to make sure that those two things are known as we move forward with it. Okay, that's all I have.
You had mentioned House Bill 33. Wasn't that paused, or was it just certain sections paused by the
So,
courts?
House Bill 33 for the biennium was the biennium bill, and within House Bill 33, 187 was not enacted on, but House Bill 33 is the biennium budget,
Oh, okay.
basically going forward for the school.
Because I thought that they paused, I wasn't sure of the full details, but that they paused as far as the creation of the,
The the new
Yes.
department.
yes.
Yeah,
There was an injunction, so we're still waiting to hear.
But the rest of the,
The rest of
the
it
rest
goes-
of the budget.
They
was
didn't keep money from flowing,
Okay.
yes.
that was the thing that was very specifically made clear, is that they weren't stopping money flowing to school districts.
Thank you. All right. Board comments? Got some comments down there, yeah?
I'll keep my comments brief, but I will say this, I do absolutely appreciate everyone that applied for the position. I have been in your seat. There was a vacancy in the board that I applied for, and so I definitely appreciate the community's involvement with that. These are very tough decisions.
Mr. Rudy?
I'll second that. Thank you.
Mr. Schaff, you have anything to say?
I always have a lot to say. I never thought I would be back here in this position. Michelle was, she was one in a million, and I teared up watching that presentation. I appreciate that you all did that, and that I had seen social media posts about it at the football game and all that. And you know, there's not a lot of people in any district of the caliber of Michelle Delaney, and I can no way replace her. But I will do my best, and I appreciate the others that did apply along with me. And I only did it because of, like you had mentioned, I bring a comfort, I guess. So, and like Ryan, you had said that you had applied, and it was actually Michelle that was chosen at the time. But then you went and you ran for the position. So I would encourage those that applied to stay involved and run for the seat again.
absolutely.
So, but thank you all very much for welcoming me back, and I will, as I said when I left, I'll try not to suck. So.
That's all we can ask.
That's right.
Ms. Berkeley? Well, yes, I would like to thank everyone who applied. It's great to see that we have such passionate, great people who want to be a part of what we're doing here. And it just shows how strong and well we're doing right now, and Ms. Delaney was a huge part of that. She was a great board member. She was probably, I couldn't ask for a better person to sit behind. It'll be a huge loss. And she shaped the board to what we are today. So, yeah, it's gonna be hard moving forward. It's kind of all moved so fast, I haven't even really had time to it hasn't even hit me yet. It's been so crazy, but it just stinks that we don't have time to pick ourselves up off the floor. Things keep moving and we gotta keep moving, so, that's the hard part. Thank you, Dave, for stepping in. I know it's probably not, your, biggest hopes and dreams, but.
It wasn't in the plan, but I help out where I can.
But we're glad you're here, and yeah, we're gonna keep trucking. I will finish with a who day. We're back in business.
I was waiting for that.
I forgot.
Super Bowl bound. All right, our next meeting is 25th?
Next Tuesday, the
It's next
17th.
Tuesday, which is unusual for us to meet on a Tuesday.
We're at
We're at a new location.
Isn't that Clough?
Which is? Merwin, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have the building tours at the beginning, and we'll move into our meeting afterwards.
Perfect. Look forward to meeting everyone there and, yeah, getting to learn about my neck of the woods, so. All right, thank you for all joining us, and I
We
would
have
like
to
to
adjourn.
ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion. Sorry, he can have it.
Second.
Second.
All right. Anything else to say? All right, Mr. Amon.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mr. Schaff.
Yes.
5 yes. 8:56.